Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Quest for the Best. We're gonna pick it up with green-black snake counters deck. Try to get it to level 2. So, this deck went 5-0 our first time out, and is looking to continue that great record, see if we can get to 10-0 or 10-1. If we pick up 2 losses on that quest, this deck will be eliminated in the Quest for the Best. A few changes to the deck list. Blossoming Defense comes out. Grasp of Darkness comes in. The deck was a bit removal light in the other games I played with it. Syndicate Trafficker went from a 2 of to a 1 of, with the card coming in being Rhonas, as rhonas proving itself a mighty battler in this deck. And then up here we exchanged 1 Untethered Express for 1 Kalitas. So those are the quick substitutions. And we also added a woodland bellower to the top end. What did I take out for that? I might have just cut, oddly, a land. If I had 25 land, that's what I took out. Yeah, I don't see it, so the first build must have had 25 land. Anyway, bellower to go get a snake or a tireless tracker, depending on the board situation, and just give us kind of a bigger end game that we're not getting stalled out or run over. Mana base needed some changing, so we went to 8 swamps and 8 forests, 1 evolving wilds because we really want to curve out, 3 hubs, and then the dualies. Let's go see what happens. Oop, forgot to customize. Well, you know, I'm gonna make you wait while I customize, because being uncustomized is just not acceptable. I paid for those extras, damn it. I usually do this before launching the stream. This is a special peek. Although not always. I guess if you guys have watched me long enough, you know. You already know. Nothing new under the sun here. It's duels after all. They will not be giving us new cards. Nothing changes. Who do we want? Anybody who looks like a snake? I don't see anything snake-like. Just very uninspired. I'll go with this one. Next. Curve is definitely sick. We have more than enough 2-drops, which is why I'm fine adding a 6-drop. Need something in case we somehow survive to a late game. End up in some kind of a standoff. Gotta do something about it. Alright, what's up? Neon City's here. Shard's here. The rabbit is here. How's everybody doing today? Who's got some predictions? What does the snake deck do? Do we get a 10-1? Do we get a 10-0? Do we get like a 7-2? What's it gonna be? I mean, where in general would you place this deck? Do you think it's a tier 1, tier 2? Any thoughts on winding constrictor shenanigans? Now is the time. The big hurt of 1982 is coming to play, but we are on the play, but our hand is not a keep. This hand is, but it's not great. We'll see what happens. City calls 10-0. Call him for the 10-0. Well, that's gonna be my objective. I've got to play it. I gotta play it like it counts. There's a rampager. Hello, rampager. Paging the rampage. Let's take him to church. Alright, opponent's setting up with some black and white. Could be tokens, could be control. Never gonna hear me sad about tap lands when I'm playing the beatdown. Let's see what they've got for rhonas. Black and white has the most exile of any combination. So, Declaration Stone or Anguish Unmaking, but those have drawbacks. Oh, there's green. Are we Abzan? Are we 5-color? 5 and 2 is a call. Calling a tragic but feisty 9-2 to a pair of hundo stacks. Yeah, there you go. I like it. Well, that's awkward because now I can either... no, I can attack with both. In fact, I think that's just better. So, especially with him tapped out, yeah, let's get busy. If he wants to block, that's fine. I mean, I may not be able to attack next turn unless I draw something great, but we'll see. Happy to put my scrounger in the graveyard, happy to deal all that damage. Let's make an energy. No, you don't get to stay, but you get to make an energy. Now let's see what our opponent does. I don't want to just grasp it. I don't want to give him the 2-life trigger from Campbell. So that's why we didn't use the Grasp of Darkness play. And a tireless tracker. That is a much more graspable situation. But he's already got 2 clues. Maybe I'm not supposed to care and just focus on the beatings. The beatings will continue until morale improves type of mentality. Let's see, he's at 10. So can he really take another hit here? I could get the rampager on the field, then pump it, then attack. Or I could play the scrounger, pump it, and attack. Or I could grasp and one or the other. But I feel like attacking's gotta be best at this stage. And I think I'll play out the rampager because it can block, and if it dies I can get back the scrounger. Would be nice to draw a 4-power creature, but you do what you gotta do. Let's see if our opponent wants to go to 5 here. They do. Wow. So now they're in the abyss to rhonas. They don't want to trade that tracker. I don't understand that. All the value in the world isn't going to matter if you don't have time to crack the clues. So let's see if my opponent can make time to crack those clues or not. Well, there goes one. Trying to draw a removal spell? Anguish Unmaking, perhaps? That would put him at 2. Dear Lord, that would be even worse, I think. Oh, we're tapping mana. It's a Lantern Scout. So he wants to gain 4 life. Sure. And then he dies. I mean, yeah, you did it. Weird. Lantern Scout. Out of nowhere it becomes Abzan humans. Alright. So, Grasp of Darkness. Remove that. Pump. There. Attack for 10. And he can have the gold, but we got the win. Yeah, no fog that time. Shut that down. 6-0. What do you think? Who in chat of you experienced duelers, who would have grasped the tireless tracker on sight as opposed to attacking like I did? I'm curious. Is that a controversial play? Is that close? Am I weird? Are you weird? Neon City, I believe, is raising hands to suggest that he would have grasped that tireless tracker. And I hope you can see my logic on that. I don't care if he has a bunch of clues on the battlefield. We're weird. He can have all the clues he wants as long as I win the game. Alright. Yeah. Let's roll. Still no winding constrictor. There's nothing like building your card or your deck around a card that won't show up. Oh! See? I made fun of it, and there it was. That's how you do it. Shard's headed to sleep. It's too bad our time zones are so different, because it seems that every time I see you, you are headed to sleep. Ooh, it's a very big wall. I guess that means I want to play the siphoner. I could snake now and then siphon later. I guess I'd like 2 energy off this hub and the siphoner because that can pump the cub. This thing is... it's a house. But siphoners... well, I can start drawing with the siphoner right away if I play hub now. Yeah. Extra cards are good. Extra cards are good. Plus the menace, maybe we actually get damage through if our opponent doesn't have a 3-drop. We'll see. Chard is asking that I try to make sure this deck does well so he can catch it another time. Oh, I'll try. But you know me. I can't guarantee success. Sometimes the seals come to play. Snake. Siphon. More cards maybe? We get paused. What's gonna happen? There we go. Damage. So it looks like the finned trout, FDG, is gonna take this turn off, which is never good. You never want to be taking that crucial 3rd turn off, or the 4th turn, or the 5th turn for that matter. Always want to have playables. And the bounty. Okay, dokie, it's like that, y'all. But I'm going to keep drawing cards and try to find a fatal push for this annoying drifter thing so I can beat the opponent into the ground. Ooh, the express is here. I think that that's the play. This will make double energies. I guess our opponent doesn't know for sure that they should block, so maybe they won't, but I'm absolutely sure they will. So what's better? I could also have a giant long-tusk cub, or I could have the express. Giant long-tusk cub and a siphoner, or the express. Express. It's so weird because I'm not sure what the heck my opponent is really up to. So it's hard to know what the right play is for sure. But I think I'll just keep using my energy to draw cards and let's get the express rolling. But we are living that siphoner dream, absolutely. We've got our Howling Mine online. Look, Mom, Dark Confidant. Just draw a card every upkeep. Give them glint-sleeves, I guess. They allow something extra good at stealing things. I don't know. Opponent, do you have any spells to cast? It's a very bizarro game. It feels like you're some kind of a ramp deck that just isn't ramping? I don't know. I don't know what's up. Sweet. So I want to crew this off of something. What do I want to crew it off of? I guess I'll play So I'm thinking this and this are the best two plays. And I'm going to have 5 mana, so I'll start with you. In case there's counter magic, kill spells, something. I'm definitely not going to hold back into all this open mana. I need to move. And I've got plenty of threats, so why be shy? And here comes something. Yeah, rune processor. Okay. 5 life, costs 7. That's going to come down next turn. That won't be fun. We'll have to get bigger than that thing, but now we know what the enemy is. It's an Eldrazi deck. It's got rune processor. It's going to gain 5 life. So we're going to want to fly over it, and we're going to want to climb over it. So might be time to make a giant cub. All right, let's get to work. I do think I need to keep the cards coming, though. That's how we'll find more snakes, gearhulks, the real top end. Yay, our opponent rune processed me, so they went up to the top rope. They brought out the heavy hitters. They know what to do with a Punjabi prison. That's way too much WWE reference for today. All right. Let's siphon something. So that'll make 2 energy. Then we'll attack, that'll make 2 more. So that makes this a 6/6, which means Grasp can team up and take down the big monster. So, yeah. What we don't want to do is attack with the constrictor. Blocking that would be bad. The elephant doesn't get there. This has menace, and I really do need the energy. So if he double blocks there, he takes a lot of damage. I guess we want to discourage as much as possible, so I should still attack with the elephant, so that my opponent doesn't double block the siphoner. And if he wants to eat the elephant, if he sniffs out the grasp, I guess that's okay. We've got more threats to come. It also gives me instant speed scrapheap scrounger. If I discard it right here. I forgot to play my swamp. Let's see if that punt gets me here. Or, yeah, crap. Oops. I was supposed to play this. Bad Dan. Bad Dan. Not acceptable. Hit me with a punt count. Hit me with my punt. I deserve it. Hey, if you don't punt me, I'm going to have to log on there and do it myself. There it is. There it is. That was a big mistake. Maybe I should have let my cub die after that, but I don't think that's right. Not with the energy generation I have. It's one of the only things I can get bigger than that processor. So, I saved it, but man, did I blow it. Yeah, yeah, thanks for the slow clap. I appreciate that. All right. Let's do some tricks. No energy. Another land. Not a good. Do we not have another creature? Ah, okay. It's lit up, but we don't have another creature. $14, still a long way to go. I guess I can make that an 8/8 now. And if I find a way to generate one more, I'm good. Alright, so you. This is gonna be rough. Definitely a spicy Eldrazi brew that we're up against. And let's pull the snake out of the equation. But let's bring the siphoners. They'll die in good service. We got a very welcome sight. Only we were a card deeper. Which we could have been if I didn't save the cub. Well, you'll need a double. Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Uh-huh. A plus goes to 6, plus goes to 8. Does not die. Damage. Excellent. Down to 6. That will put one siphoner in the graveyard, so now we can get Scrounger out. And we want it out now so that we can play Nissa, and we want to play the land. So that if a scrapheap dies on my opponent's turn, we can get it back. Boost. Alright. Will it be a Wrath of God? Ulamog would be a big hit, but I don't think it would do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Our opponent's one short. Do they have a land in hand? I don't think Ulamog ends the game here. Nope. He's got it in hand, but could not cast it. And a concession. I'm going to earn this. I want to at least make sure that I'd handle the combat here well. Because, let's see. Blocks. Block there, block there. If he doesn't attack Nissa, he can block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, take 4, and 3. I guess I have to draw a creature then? Alright, but the AI attacked, of course, so that'll do. That'll do. Bringing it. No! Of course. Gotta respect spell shrivel. Yeah, the game wasn't over, but he quit. Too many big things. Too much thinking. And that'll do. Okay. 7-0. 3 to go to get to the 10. To the 10-0. Crossing our fingers. You green-black fans, you snake enthusiasts, you House Slytherins out there. R.I.P. Marine Life. Yeah, that... Yep. That seal had an Eldrazi deck, and they had an Ulamog, so I think they knew where their bread and butter was for beating up the other 1 to 10 rank. Is just hang on for Ulamog, play all the high toughness, and cast Ulamog, but we had a superior game plan. We had a superior card pool. Neon City 7-0 question mark. That's a 7-0 without a question mark. It is in fact a 7-0. Anybody curious, the best record belongs to Mono Black Zombies, which is waiting for the competition to catch up at 10-0. At 10-0. Mono Black Zombies. Oh, this is a rematch. The big hurt has come for more. This is with the Abzan player. All right, I'm never shy about getting a rematch. We have to draw land, but this hand is good. We have to draw 2 lands, but the hand is good. And if that's the same deck, we didn't see red last time. Who knows? And that hub goes with our siphoner beautifully. So now we have the dream. We have the curve, push, siphon, harvest. And no need for the push. Let's hope our creature doesn't die here. And it looks like a very different deck, but I guess we'll see. Will there be an answer to the siphoner? Or will I get extra cards? I know, I just always rip that. I just rip that way. But our opponent has cut to ribbons this time, so we will not run away with this game on the back of a glint-sleeve on turn 2. Instead, I think we will harvest. Gave some thought to playing another 2-drop in the tap land so I could untethered on time, but I have a feeling there will probably be use for this fatal push soon. And if there isn't, and it's a planeswalker, I'll be very happy I have the harvester down with its evasion. And it is an Ulvenwald Mysteries. Ooh, spicy. What could it be? All right, time to get our detective hat on and solve some mysteries, gang. But Tracker is a draw that I'm sure my opponent is immediately envious of. Not going to use the energy for lifelink here. I'm confident we'll find another use for it, whether that be a long-tusk cub or a siphoner or something else in the future. But let's start the air raid. Xbox would like to report that my controller batteries are low. If I vanish out, just assume that's what happened. That or lightning struck. Ooh, the champ is here. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I'm gonna do some WWE referencing. If you don't get it, well, you know, get it. It'll be great. Irois sucks. This card sucks. There, that was my awkward reference. Now I can try to draw the land, or I guess if I miss, the question is, do I want to push that thing, right? And if I do, I get damage through, so I really do. And to do that, I need revolt. So I can get that with my clue. Hopefully we draw land. Just really want to draw land off this. Otherwise, our opponent will just take 4. But if we drew a land, they'd take significantly more damage. But we did not. So our hand is clogging up a bit. We're gonna have to figure out how to deploy some things. Omega says, let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Omega knows the score. But does our opponent know the score? They've got this. They can make 1/1s to chump our tracker, which is why we'll want to lean on the evasion more. It's going to be the garrison. Ooh ha ha. That's kind of scary, but not the scariest thing at the moment. I wonder if my opponent would double block me. It's curious. Rip a land. There we go. Alright, 5 mana. Doesn't do anything particularly different, other than it does leave a mana up for the trafficker if I want indestructibility. So that can be good if he tries to clear away for this garrison. So what's the play? Land, make a clue, syndicate trafficker for a blocker, and scrapheap scrounger for an attacker. Alright. Or for a crewer, is I guess what I'm implying. So like that. And we'll play this after combat. But Syndicate Trafficker is a good card when you have some clues and some scrapheap scroungers around to sacrifice. Our opponent is under the gun. Yep, that's what I figured. Thought it would be a chump there. Now remember, little trick that we may have to put into effect. Syndicate Trafficker, sacrifice an artifact for indestructible, gain a +1/+1 counter. Clue token. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, Tireless Tracker gets +1/+1. So we can sacrifice the clue to our Trafficker for indestructibility, and our tracker will still get +1/+1. Here comes a Skywhaler's shot. Well, that doesn't do me any good. All that sacrificing talk, but hey, they decide to go right after my tracker. Express over Cruiser. Yeah, this is a snake deck, Al, so the +1/+1 counters double, so this becomes a 6/6 trample when it gets to attack. That's at least the thinking of using Untethered Express for this deck, is synergy with +1/+1 counter theme. And hi Zarvault, this is the snake deck. This is whining constrictor deck. Alright, here comes the beats. Let's go ahead and pitch you for the indestructible 4/2. Our opponent does make a 3/3 Thalia's Lieutenant, but that's not significantly bigger than the board at this moment. But they're doing all the human things. They've got 10 life to play with. Can we press him out of the game? That's a draw. Because we can threaten lethal, so he has to block and we get a zombie. That ain't so bad. Alright. Team, get him. Okay, so do I want the damage or do I want to keep my trafficker? I think I'll take the damage at this stage. I could have sacrificed my scrounger to make trafficker indestructible, or harvester for that matter, but at this point I think we want to see him down to 4. So Omega, that's a good name for the deck. Snakes on a train. Unfortunately, we just haven't had a good we haven't had the right window with the way our draws lined up to play the Untethered Express. And let's be honest, it's not as good as other cards that we can play. It's kind of there because Bristling Hydra is only a 2 of. So Pulsamarasa is figuring out what we want. Probably the garrison. Yep. The garrison is coming back. That life total is going up. Something is being declared in stone. It's kalitas. So our opponent's gonna give us a hard time. They're gonna take a shot at us. Fort says he didn't get a Twitch notification. Don't blame the system. It's all good. All right, let's deploy a tracker. But I don't need to crack no clue. I need to be attacking. Trying to end this game. Just keep that pressure dialed up to 11. And lean on that advantage, because if our opponent doesn't have a sweeper or Lindvala or just something to dramatically catch up, eventually they can't just keep blocking like they have most of this game. The chumping must stop somewhere. And they're in the tank on how to use these two humans here. Mortivore, you've been playing Elder Scrolls Legends and say it's not bad. I've heard it's a very magic-y-ish game. I, of course, am MTG devotee. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that I just keep playing this game. And we'll deploy the copter so that now we have all the aerial threats. Oh, there's an aerial block, but it's not a big one. And Garrison is the other card? Well, one of two cards, but I'm expecting to see Garrison here. Oh, nope. Gonna draw a card. So maybe my opponent has a 2-drop in hand that they're hoping to cast, and they couldn't. Maybe it's another Thalia's Lieutenant, Handwear Militia Captain. And that'll seal it. Unless there's a fog. Okay, concession. 8-0. Arrogant Rabbit is talking about Hearthstone reveal season. I guess that's spoiler season for you Hearthstoners. And he says the new expansion of Hearthstone seems very meh. I think I may sit this one out, he comments. Well, if I knew anything about Hearthstone, I'd probably agree with you, because you seem to have pretty good taste. Then again, I don't know if I'll ever call a set and their spoilers meh or anything like that again, because I'm never going to get new cards for duels. So I'd rather have meh new cards than none, man. I'd rather have any new cards. Zarvolt wants me to show the deck for 30 seconds for those who got here late. Well, it's this is level 2, so you can see the deck list as I played it if you scroll down the channel feed below. Or just search the page for green-black snakes. We did make a few card changes, but you can catch those on the VOD. I mean, it's another decent hand. I always feel like I can do better, but also can't. I never feel like I can mulligan these hands. And our opponent's going to have a think about their opening moves. The plan today is to get this to 10 wins or 2 losses, whichever comes first. And then we'll go introduce a new deck and get that to 5 wins or 2 losses, whichever comes first. I think I'll play the untapped swamp here. I just smell a turn 2 Voltaic Brawler. I smell it, and I want to just knock it right down and seize initiative. Plus my hand not that expensive. So we'll see if that comes back to bite me later. Aw, come on. Nope. Nope. Too bad. We'll see if that bites me. I feel like whatever I play is going to die. That might be an argument for playing a scrounger. But at the same time, I want the initiative of one of these hitting and causing a ruckus. So I think I'll put a cub out first, since I have a fatal push to clear the way. And no removal spell, and a turn 3 rhonas that can't block. Okay, this is going to be an interesting showdown. But I think we're in decent shape, especially now. Alright, get to work, cub. My opponent could attack me for 5 if they play like a 1-drop, and it would have to be a 2-power 1-drop like a prowler. I don't see that as very likely. I'm gonna get the siphoner down, start drawing some cards while being aggressive. I wonder if I want to draw cards, actually. Maybe a bigger creature is the way to go in this matchup. Let's see, what's the play? Bristling hydra? It is a champion of rhonas. How flavorful. The champ is here. So do we need to draw a card? I don't want to draw a card. I want to go big. I know, I turned down drawing a card. I'm probably about to get crucified. But I just want to go very big. So let's see. Grasp you. +1. Attack. My hand is so good right now, I really don't need it. I just don't need the card. I just need to beat this person down before their bigger creatures beat me. And then do we play, I think the thing I'm most concerned with is a Chandra's Ignition. I mean, that would just be such a beating. So am I supposed to play a scrounger or the other cub? The scrounger is just more damage because I already have a place to dump. This might produce more energy, but I think we'll make it the scrounger. All right, opponent. Can they get something on the board that sticks, or do they have a Chandra's Ignition? They have a concession. Let's earn it a little bit more. I want to at least see a little of what this deck is cooking. Curious of what I'd have to beat. And it is a solitary hunter. 3/4 with some werewolf triggers that we're probably never going to have to see. Do not pay. Land. Okay. Don't have revolt or a way to get it easily. So we just gotta make everything go over the 3/4. So you don't need a counter, you're getting in. You could use 1. You could use 2. And I guess the 3rd we'll put there. All right. Indeed, suck it, Rhonas. Rhonas just gets no play today from us. I'm being asked, what do you think about Oblivion Strike? It's a 4-mana black card that exiles creatures. I've been using it to get rid of Amonkhet gods recently in matches. Well, I think that just in the general context, you'd never want to be paying 4 mana for spot removal. Unless it's like even cast out, which is unconditional, I have a really hard time with getting the mana for it. So already it's on the precipice of being a bad card because it's 4 mana sorcery speed removal. That puts it right on the edge of being a bad card. So yeah, I am not a fan. And I hope that this game at least showed you a bit that you can get around gods in different ways. Not every deck has to have all the answers to indestructible creatures, like the straight 1-for-1 answers, to win the games. I think a lot of players make the mistake of thinking that they have to have an answer to everything, and then if they didn't draw it, but it was in their deck, then they're a good deck builder and they're a good player, but they're off the hook because they didn't draw their answer, and that's why they lost that game. That applies sometimes, but a lot of times you just need to take a stance that defeats the cards that you don't have answers for in your deck. And you have to play as if, you have to play with that strategy in mind. So, yeah, I'm very against Oblivion Strike. Deck in Stone is also something that I don't use as often as other people. I use it if I feel I have to, and it suits exactly the game plan the deck has, but I have plans for beating down around indestructible creatures if my opponents have them and I don't have exile stuff in my deck. Has to have an answer. That sounds like my style, says Zarvolt. Well, you should play Magic to suit yourself, but I will tell you something for sure. You can't have an answer for everything. So you can't dilute, like with this deck, for example, you just can't dilute the primary theme of the deck, which is smashing and bashing with creatures, to try to have answers to everything. All right, we're gonna need a black source. This might get a little hairy, but if our opponent doesn't have an answer to the ballista constrictor duo, we'll be fine. I don't know. This is gonna get interesting, and we've got a guide. I do not want to fatal push that because just about every card in my deck outclasses it, and our opponent has fetched red, so they're showing us a little bit of Jund action. Do I siphon? I'll play the constrictor first because then, well, actually, yeah, I'll play the constrictor first because this way when I siphon I immediately get 2 energy. It also brick walls the guide. Who knows? 1 damage might matter. Who knows? Sometimes I like to set up a turn where I can go constrictor into other things. I don't think this hand allows for that. We're going to be really bottlenecked on black mana, so I need to play a quality black card every turn, is how I have to play this one out. Nighthawk is not wrong when he says in chat that if we're playing against the Oinak guide, we're probably not against good removal. Well, there you go, Nighthawk. Nobody said it had to be good. Good old remove soul, or Reeve soul. An automatic 4-of in elves, in green-black control, in just about every Origins black deck. Good old Reeve soul. But I haven't seen that card in a hot minute. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less sorcery. Kind of got pushed out by the push and the grasp, but it was there for our opponent right there where they needed it. So this turn, like I said, I want to play a black spell, a quality black spell every turn so it doesn't bottleneck me, so we'll put the siphoner down. And hopefully we draw another swamp, as that would go very well with our tireless tracker. Tapping out for tracker there, it would just break my heart if the tracker's soul was reaved in such a manner as our constrictor's soul was just reaved. Alright, our opponent has 2 blockers now, but we may be able to mess that up. If we draw a land, we can ballista, or perhaps we can push something if we don't. But let's see what they do. They are tanking on their 4-card hand, and it's a fiery impulse, so our opponent is no stranger to removal. Jund Elves is the call from Nighthawk. I don't know if it's Elves. I mean, we've got, I believe, Hound Tribal here, but of course the chances are our opponent may never have swapped them back when Sylvan Ranger jumped into this deck, or jumped out for this Hound Scout Tribal. Alright, so we'll leave the black up for a fatal push, and we'll get our scrounger to work. So if our opponent's all Reeve Souls and Fiery Impulses, scrapheap scrounger might be a thing. My biggest concern right now is that our opponent plays a big 5 or 6 drop. Ha 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 ha! Oh my gosh! Did you plan this, Zarvolt? Oblivion Strike. Oblivion Strike. Am I gonna make this play? Yeah, if I'm against removal.deck, this might matter. And here comes the beats. Oblivion Strike. Still hate it. I guess we'll put a tracker down. If it dies, it dies. But our opponent's gonna run out of stuff someday. And we're gonna find lands someday. Up to 6 mana. This is where I'm scared of like a woodland bellower or something. Never. Sure. Maybe they won't run out of things. So now I have to be ready to get my scrounger out of the graveyard, or else it will get returned. And by that I mean exiled. But our opponent's down to 1 card. That's not a land, but we're gonna hold up the scrounger activation and play dead. Hopefully our opponent targets the scrounger here with the return, and we can surprise them. But they shouldn't do that if they know how the timing rules work. But we'll see. You never know until they try. Or maybe they will assume I don't know how the timing rules work. Sword Guide 1991 is going for something. Huh? Maybe. Maybe not. Pump fake. Maybe he's testing me. He's seeing if I pause or something. Pause. Thank you. And yep. He did target the scrounger. The other thing is if he targeted one of my other creatures, I could fizzle it with the scrounger activation. And if he targeted the fatal push, that would have been the right play because I couldn't fizzle that. Constrictor. Well, let's start with an attack. Yeah, double block. Love it. What's best? Getting the scrounger back? I guess Scarab Feast could be bad. I think I'll put down the cub. That way if the cub hits, we can double up with Constrictor next turn. Hey, he wanted to set up the double block Nighthawk. Nighthawk says that my opponent doesn't realize that Scrounger can't block. And while that may be true, may also have been setting up the double block. Thought it was worth it. That's an argument all its own. Okay, so we drew the land. Let's roll. Do you have instant speed removal that you plan to play at instant speed? Playing the Constrictor first so I get 3 energy here. Opponent doesn't have a fiery impulse at this time. Should I pump the energy into this to get it out of impulse range? If I plan to do it anyway, I may as well do it now. Or I can do it once, and then I'm out of impulse range, and I can save the other activation. There's a little more energy. Play you. All right, and we're going off. Well, we ran them out of 1-for-1s, and they flooded a bit. But, yep. Not a land. Siphoner. More energy. See how big we can make this cub, shall we? Now let's see if it connects before we crack the other 2. Two points short. But that's okay. Yep, if you're going to play removal.deck, you have to also have a big threat to go over the top. Either our opponent didn't draw it, or they don't have enough in their deck. But that's going to be the way this cookie crumbles. All right, who called for 10-0? Nighthawk predicted that act of treason into Chandra's ignition. Yeah, that would... I'd be bawling my eyes out for sure. Yep, Neon City called the 10-0, and that's where we stand. So, level 2, the snake deck goes to the 10 and the O. Dun 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 dun. Hey, Zarvol, wake up. We're going to show the deck really quick if you want to see what I'm running right now. This also will be posted as a VOD. If you're watching it later on YouTube, the deck list will be in the description. And if you're watching it later on Twitch, the deck list will be in the description, probably, if I got in to edit it yet. But here's where we're rolling. We did go down to 1 syndicate trafficker. You never really want to, and 1 is pretty situational. But sometimes it's good, as it was in that game. It did just fine. And then our other changes, we took out the trafficker and put in a rhonas. So rhonas being a boss, we saw it tear up a game earlier. Then we had 3 untethered express. We cut that down to 2 and ran kalitas, as he's got some +1/+1 counter synergy and is just a mid-game bomb. And we also added a woodland bellower that can go find a winding constrictor or a tireless tracker as a kind of mid-game reset should the opponent blow up our board, sweep us, something like that. And we never really saw it happen, and it's a one of, so that's not too surprising, but something to keep in mind. Oh, you know what? Never mind, I made a mistake in this deck build. Somewhere, I did not run bristling hydra, which without question should be in here. So we just played this last series with an arm tied behind our backs. I don't know how that happened. I must have just missed it when I was putting the deck together, and then I'm like, oh look, I have an empty spot to fill. I'll put in woodland bellower. Definitely don't feel like skyship is necessary. No, I don't feel like skyship has its places, mostly in mid-range mirrors, and if this deck is in a mid-range mirror, it just wants to go bigger to the point where it doesn't have to worry about the opponent's creatures. So skyship coming down, dealing some damage, and getting in the air isn't that big a deal when all our creatures are just massive. In fact, if this deck is doing things right, its creatures are so big that crewing skyship is taking power and toughness away from the board. And we need to cut a card. What's the right card to cut? Probably this trafficker, but it still has its moments, so maybe we go down to a single untethered express. How about that? Mana base and evolving wilds and 2 quagmires for our tap lands. Everything else untapped. Cemetery, hubs, 8 and 8. Lily the Last Hope seems a bit passive. Not really. This is what I love doing with Lily the Last Hope that I think a lot of people may not see at first glance, is I play my constrictor gets killed, so turn 3, my favorite turn 3 is Liliana the Last Hope, get back my constrictor. Then turn 4, I can put out my constrictor and a siphoner or a long-tusk cub and make it big. And if my opponent failed to put pressure on the table, if they were too busy killing my snake to put out a creature, I still have a planeswalker too. So that's kind of the role of Liliana the Last Hope in this deck. Alright, I'm going to put that one to bed. But stay tuned. I'm going to come back in just a minute with something new.